Hey there, guys. You have reached the Get Going Fast page here with Gary, also known as Jim Day. You listen to my music, and this is exciting stuff. So MiniMax has come out with this large language model, and they've made it open source. So imagine like ChatGPT if they open sourced it, okay? It's a huge model that we're going to get into it, but has an amazingly large context window, okay? So you can throw... Listen, I'll just tell you, you're going to throw like 6,000 pages worth of stuff into this, and it's going to be able to process it and send it back. But now, of course, this is a large language thing. It'd be like running ChatGPT on your computer. You ain't going to be able to do it. But here's the key. By open sourcing it, it means that companies and entrepreneurs are going to be able to run this on their own systems, and they're going to be able to come out with cool and new products for us all. And maybe that's you. Maybe you are going to get your mind on how you can build something with this, and it's open source. It's very cool. We're going to look at this. I'm going to show you where there's a demo you can play with it. But before we do have to help understand what's actually happened, we're going to go back and have a chat with another LLM that's going to explain to us what exactly is going on and help us to wrap our brain around why this model, because there's a lot of models, isn't there? So when something new comes out, it's good to know, why is this one so much special? And I won't give you the hint, this one is special. So hang in there. We'll get into the conversation, and then we're going to do a little practical thing at the end of it, and I'll show you what it can actually do. So anyway, before we do that, thank you for liking the channel. Thank you for sharing it. Truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for telling your dear sweet grandma about it, even though this AI stuff probably freaks her out and she doesn't like to think about that. So you can always tell the caretaker when she comes in about AI as well. So, and the bottom line of that, you should be spending some more time with your dear sweet grandma. She loves you so much. So we're going to move on here with this, get on with the getting on, and finding out more about this new MiniMax LLM open source. Yo. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop on over here, and there I am. And we're going to be using Google AI Studio here to talk with this chatbot. Now, we use Google LLM Notebook here last time. That's where they made that cool podcast that we're chatting back and forth. This is a straight chatbot that we just throw information in, and it's going to talk back and forth with us, which is way cool. So we're going to do that. Now, we've talked about Google AI Studio before. You can come in here, do all sorts of really cool stuff with your chatbots. So go ahead and play with that. But what I've done is I've taken a bunch of articles, thrown it into here as context, and now we're going to talk with the chatbot about it. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. We got to click the we got to hit the button. Here we go. Hey there, I'm really excited to talk with you about this. So I want you to explain to me, give a quick summary of what's going on. I've got an audience that's listening, so you be friendly and familiar with the information and in a way that people can understand.
Sure, I can definitely help with that. MiniMax, a Chinese AI startup, has just released some new open source AI models. These include a text model and a multimodal model that can understand both images and text. These models have a unique architecture, and they are said to be very good at processing long pieces of text, with performance comparable to models from companies like Google and Anthropic.
Oh, okay, so now I got to click this button again. Okay, so tell me about this long context. What exactly is that good for? How can it be used? What is the context? Do you have that information?
Of course. The context refers to the amount of text the model can consider at once before generating an output. A longer context window allows the AI to understand more of the text, which is useful for tasks that require analyzing large documents or having long conversations. MiniMax's models have an unusually large context window, which they claim makes it better for AI agent applications.
So in other words, you can write more to it and it remembers stuff. Oh, well, shit, something went wrong. That's because I was pausing it and unpausing it. Let's go back here. So explain to me a bit more about the context. So obviously context is how much information it can take in. What makes this model more special than others?
Sure, let's dive into the context capabilities of these models. The context window refers to the amount of input a model can consider before generating a response. MiniMax Text 01 stands out with an extremely large context window of 4 million tokens, which is about 3 million words, or the equivalent of 5 copies of War and Peace. This is significantly larger than other leading models, such as GPT-4o and Llama 3.1. This large context window allows it to analyze vast amounts of information at once, making it more effective for tasks requiring long-range dependencies.
Okay, that's huge. You said that it can handle up to 5 copies of War and Peace, and War and Peace is a very large book, so I could paste 5 copies into here and it'll parse it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The MiniMax Text 01 model's 4 million token context window allows it to analyze an amount of text equivalent to about 5 copies of War and Peace in one go.
That's crazy.
It can process.
So, what is the benchmarks on that? Like, how does any of these articles talk about how actually well it parses the information, how many mistakes it makes?
Yes, the article does discuss benchmarks. According to the article, MiniMax Text-01 performs better than Google's Gemini 2.0 Flash on benchmarks like MMLU and SimpleQA, which measure a model's ability to answer math problems and fact-based questions. It also notes that the model exhibits strong performance in areas such as domain knowledge, instruction following, and avoiding factual errors. The article also mentions that the MiniMax VAL01 rivals Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet in multimodal understanding evaluations.
Okay, so that's really huge. So this is a industrial level LLM, and they've made it open source. Is that correct?
That's right. MiniMax has open sourced these models, but with some restrictions. Okay. While the model...
Oh, sorry, please.
Is there anything else you'd like...
I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue what you were saying about some of the restrictions.
No problem. While the models are available for download, they are not truly open source in the sense that MiniMax hasn't released the components to recreate them from scratch. Also, they are under a restrictive license that prohibits using the models to improve rival AI models and requires a special license for platforms with over 100 million monthly users.
Okay, so what does that mean for small-time guys working in the open source community, playing around?
For smaller developers and open source enthusiasts, it means that they can use the models for their projects, but they cannot use them to create competing models, and they need to be mindful of the monthly user limit if their projects grow to that size.
Okay, so as a small-time developer, open source, I could create an app and I could make money off of it, assuming that I'm not going to be using more than 100 million users or creating another thing, but I could make a product off of it, correct?
Yes, that's correct. As long as you are not using the models to create a competing model, or have more than 100 million monthly users on your platform, you can develop and monetize your projects using MiniMax models.
I just want to say I wish I had 100 million users, but that is a very high number. So at the same time, though, this is a very large model. You would have to have pretty large servers to be able to run this, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The MiniMax Text-01 model, with its 456 billion parameters, would require significant computing resources to run effectively. This would mean large and powerful servers.
How big you thinking? Like how much VRAM?
Unfortunately, the articles do not specify the exact VRAM requirements. However, given the model's size and complexity, it would likely require a substantial amount of VRAM, potentially hundreds of gigabytes, to run efficiently.
Okay, so like 4 H100s or something like that?
That's possible. Running a model of this size would likely require multiple high-end GPUs like the H100s working in parallel, given the parameters and the long context window.
Right, because even if we could get this quantized down to a level that we could run on smaller amounts of VRAM, you're still not going to have access to all of that context window, correct?
You are right. While quantization can reduce the VRAM needed to run the model, it may also reduce the maximum context window that can be utilized, potentially impacting the model's ability to process longer inputs.
Okay, so what's kind of the how that works. So let's say you take it down to some kind of Q4, some small quant. How does that affect the actual context itself, or how does that work between inference and context storage and tokenization and all that?
Quantization reduces the precision of the model's weights, typically from 32-bit floating point to 8-bit or 4-bit integers, which reduces the memory footprint, but it can impact accuracy and potentially reduce the model's ability to handle the full context window. This reduction in precision can affect how the model processes tokens, which in turn impacts the model's understanding of context and ultimately its ability to generate outputs. In terms of inference, context storage, and tokenization, using quantized models requires less VRAM, but may result in trade-offs in accuracy.
But I still wouldn't be able to throw in 5 copies of War and Peace into a say Q4, correct?
That's correct. Even with quantization to Q4, it's unlikely you'd be able to process the equivalent of 5 copies of War and Peace at once due to the constraints that quantization places on the model. You will still be limited by the amount of VRAM, and a reduction in the model's precision might impact the model's capacity to handle the full length, even though the model might have more room now.
So how would that work? So let's say I threw in 1 copy of War and Peace in it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it works. And then I try throwing in 2 copies, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. What would be the log jam there?
The logjam you'd encounter is likely a memory error. With a quantized model, you have more space, but if you exceed its maximum context window or the model's memory capabilities for the given quantized level, you will run into a situation where the model can't fully process the information or provide a proper response.
Okay, so and now when you're talking about memory, you're talking about actual CPU memory or like DDR RAM stuff instead of VRAM. Is that correct?
I apologize for any confusion. When I'm talking about memory in this context, I am referring to VRAM, not CPU memory. The constraints that a model faces when processing large amounts of input are primarily related to its video memory capacity.
Okay, because it's going to have to take each one of those words, it's going to have to store it, it's going to have to tokenize it, it's going to have to send it in, deal with the dictionary, get the words, and then figure out how to do all of that. And so at some point, it's just not going to be able to hold all of that in there and look at it as one unit.
You've got it exactly right. The model needs to process each token, store it, and maintain context for all tokens within the context window, requiring a significant amount of VRAM. When this limit is exceeded, the model cannot handle the input.
Okay, so no matter how great this model is, once it gets quantized down to a version that we smaller fellows can play with, is there going to be any benefit to really playing around with it still?
Yes, absolutely. Even a quantized version of this model can offer significant benefits. You can experiment with different parameter combinations, explore its strengths and weaknesses in specific tasks, and potentially adapt it to your particular use cases. In addition, you will be able to train it on your own data.
Okay, so does this model actually have any benefits to training that other models don't?
The articles highlight that MiniMaxAI utilizes a novel lightning attention mechanism and a larger context window, which could offer unique training advantages. The article also mentions it has a better ability to handle longer inputs without degrading in performance. These could be useful for training specific use cases where these factors are important.
Okay, explain to me more about the lightning attention mask. Now, I'm speaking with a group of people with my audience here that we might not understand what that is, so make it practical so that we can understand it just a little bit better.
Okay, let's try a practical example. Imagine you're reading a long book, and you need to quickly find the main character's name or a specific event. A regular attention would be like carefully reading every single word of the book to understand the context. A lightning attention mask is like quickly flipping through the pages and using a highlighter to mark key words or important parts. The highlighter represents the attention, and the skipping of less important passages is the mask part. So you're using the mask to skip some parts, and using a lightning attention to quickly find only the words that are relevant to you.
Okay, so instead of when we are using our image generators, our video generators, a lot of times we use something called sage attention, for example. which it ignores some of the background and just focuses on the important parts so that it can create it faster or that sort of thing.
Yes, you're on the right track. The idea of sage attention, as you described, is similar in concept to the lightning attention mask. It focuses on the key parts of an image or video, ignoring less relevant information. This selective attention allows the AI to work more efficiently and rapidly.
Okay,
it does
that's
this.
cool. That's actually kind of like how I am when I'm listening to people, like they're blah blah blah, and I'm kind of half paying attention and just parsing out the important stuff and throwing out a lot of the nonsense stuff. But then I get the idea what they're saying, and I could be able to just speak directly to the point.
That's a great analogy. It's like you're using your own human attention mask to filter out the noise and focus on the core message, which is similar to how the AI model is using lightning attention. It's about efficiency and getting to the important information quickly.
Okay, very cool. And so that is part of this, and then that's also why it's probably able to handle such a large context as well, because it's not focusing on the thes and the ands and the ins and all of this kind of stuff, but rather on the core message.
Exactly. Because the lightning attention mask allows the model to focus on the most salient information, it can effectively process longer text sequences without getting bogged down by less important details, which is why it can handle such a large context window.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Then let's go ahead and wrap this up. Then maybe give us a quick summary of what's going on. Say goodbye to my audience for me. They've been certainly wonderful being part of this. And maybe give everyone, all these open source enthusiasts, a quick one sentence encouragement on their journey.
Certainly. So in summary, MiniMax, a Chinese startup, has released 3 new AI models that are showing impressive capabilities, especially in terms of large context windows, and they have a very innovative attention mechanism. These models compete with big players in the US market, and they will probably be very relevant in the future. To your wonderful audience, it's been a pleasure discussing AI with you. Thank you for being a part of this. And for all the open source enthusiasts, remember, your contributions are crucial in shaping the future of AI, so keep pushing boundaries and sharing your knowledge.
All right, thank you. You have a good rest of your day out there in Cyberland, and we'll chat with you again.
You're very welcome, and you have a great day as well. I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
All right, so there you have it. Very cool stuff happening. Great things. Oh, but before we do go, I actually want to show you where the demo is. So let's go and find that really quick. Now, I'm not exactly sure how to tell you how to find this through Google. I was searching around for it on Google. I can't remember how I found it in the first place. But I'll put the link in the description down below. And here you can play around with it. So, you know, this is just an online thing. Let's grab something big and throw it in here real quick. Let's go and see if we can get copy of say Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something like that. Text, full text. There we go. Let's copy all of this and let's see if MinMax can handle it. Let's throw it all into here and say give me a list of each character and the chapters they appear in. And I'm going to paste the entire book in. Let's see how well MinMax handles this. Because remember, it said it could take 5 copies of War and Peace, so this is quite a bit. So maybe what I'll do is probably taking that long just to send the whole thing. Oh, let's just say here. So it's thinking. Let's pause it though, so we're not waiting. I'll tell you how long it took by the time we come back. Okay, and we're back. So that took about 3 minutes to do, and let's see what we got here. Arthur Dent, chapters 1 through 25. He's the everyman protagonist. Wow, it even did a summary. Ford Prefect 1 through 25. Zaphod Beeblerox, Trillion, Marvin the paranoid android, Supporting, it even got this slur mark. Oh, that's too funny. I read this book like a dozen times when I was a kid. Good stuff. So very cool. Look at how fast it did that. Now I don't know if this is exactly accurate. Here's the man with the 5 heads on the elderberry bush full of kippers. Let's see if that's even. I don't even remember that. Let's highlight this. Let's just do a fact check here. Seems to be the universe is undoing. A man with 5 heads and an elderberry bush full of kippers passes by. So there it is. Yes, to the passing maniac. Who is that? What? You mean the man with the 5 heads? So that's incredible. So we threw in an entire book, and it did what we asked. It went ahead and didn't look at it, even getting the different people in the bar at the chapter 1. So that's incredible. Oh, and look, it's still working. So at any rate, cool stuff. We'll end it there. Thanks for hanging out. MiniMax, go check out the demo. Exciting times on the future. So I'm glad to be on the journey with you guys. We'll catch up with you later.